In the global fight against terrorism, India has once again called out Pakistan for its dangerous duplicity. At the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, Indian diplomat Kshitij Tyagi delivered a scathing rebuttal to Islamabad's lies, exposing how Pakistan's military terrorist complex has made terrorism both a tool of foreign policy and a lifeline for its own survival. From Mumbai to Pulwama, from Uri to Pahalgam, the world has witnessed how Pakistan exports terror while seeking sympathy on global platforms. Pakistan's misuse of international platforms is no secret. Time and again, Islamabad has tried to shift attention from its own collapsing state by raking up the issue of Kashmir. But the facts remain clear. Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, and the region is witnessing unprecedented political and economic progress, despite decades of Pakistan-sponsored bloodshed. Recently, at the 60th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva on September 10th, India's voice rang with clarity and conviction.
We will defend our sovereignty without compromise.
Responding to Pakistan's latest propaganda, Indian diplomat Kshitij Tyagi minced no words. He reminded the world that Pakistan's record is stained with terror. From sheltering Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad to funding outfits like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. Most recently, the horrific Pahalgam terror attack in April 2025, where 26 tourists lost their lives, bore the unmistakable stamp of Pakistan-backed groups.
We are compelled once again to address provocations from a country whose own leadership recently likened it to a dump truck. Perhaps an inadvertently apt metaphor for a state that continues to deposit recycled falsehoods and stale propaganda before this distinguished council. Pakistan's systematic abuse of this forum, coupled with its routine manipulation of the OIC as its mouthpiece, has become a familiar pattern. Its pathological fixation on India appears to provide it with existential validation. Yet, we must respond, lest we forget. Lest we forget the carnage of Pahalgam, where Pakistan-sponsored terrorists turned a meadow of joy into a killing field in April this year. Lest we forget 9/11, as the world marks its anniversary tomorrow, even as we witness today the hypocrisy of those who sheltered its mastermind and glorified him as a martyr. Lest we forget Pulwama, Uri, Pathankot, Mumbai. The list is endless, Mr. President. Yet, Pakistan demonstrates the audacity to take the floor today, feigning moral outrage while continuing to finance and shelter the very networks that threaten global security.
India's measured but firm response to the Pahalgam massacre was Operation Sindoor, a targeted strike on terrorist camps inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. It was a reminder that India will not tolerate cross-border terror and will respond decisively to protect its people. Pakistan's global credibility has already been shredded. A country that has run to the International Monetary Fund more than 23 times and spent years on the Financial Action Task Force grey list for terror financing continues to escape accountability. Just weeks ago, on July 18, 2025, the United States designated the Resistance Front, a Lashkar-e-Taiba proxy operating from Pakistani soil, as a foreign terrorist organization. This designation was further proof of what India has said for decades. Pakistan remains the epicenter of terrorism. But instead of correcting course, Pakistan persists in misusing the international forums to peddle lies against India.
The world will not forget. India will not forget.
Tyagi was blunt in reminding the world that this has become Pakistan's survival strategy, exporting terror, spreading propaganda, and distracting its people from an imploding economy and persecuted minorities at home.
The international community recognizes this charade for what it is. The world will not forget. India will not forget. Our measured and proportionate response to the Pahalgam attack made that sufficiently clear. We need no lessons from a terror sponsor, no sermons from a persecutor of minorities, no advice from a state that has squandered its own credibility. Mr. President, India will continue to protect its citizens with unwavering resolve. We will defend our sovereignty without compromise. And we will continue to expose time and again the elaborate deception of a failed state whose survival depends upon trafficking in terror and tragedy.
From the 2008 Mumbai attacks that killed over 160 people, to Pulwama in 2019, to the most recent Pahalgam carnage, the list of Pakistan's terror exports is long. What has changed is the global mood. Today, Islamabad stands isolated, exposed not just by India, but by international watchdogs, allies, and its own economic collapse. As India builds peace, prosperity, and stability in Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistan clings to the outdated playbook of terror and propaganda. The world is watching, and the world is no longer fooled.